Hey everybody, Jason here, and today what we're going to be talking about are squatters' rights. So there's two different things here. I think squatters' rights almost kind of gets lumped into one thing, but it kind of splits into two different paths for me at least. Now, traditional squatters' rights, when you're talking about like state regulations and the whole it's called adverse possession, everything surrounding adverse possession. And every state has adverse possession squatters' rights in place. But the states vary depending on what the time frames are and the components that belong with that. So there's kind of two paths here. And there's the one path where somebody can ultimately be awarded the ownership of your property if they meet all the criteria of the squatter's rights, the adverse possession. That I would imagine is pretty rare. I've never actually heard of that myself in terms of them going the distance on that. And we'll talk about a couple of reasons why that is here in a minute. But what I want to get to is the part of it that we all call squatters' rights and squatters, and what we are most likely dealing with as landlords. So when I talk about squatters, I'm talking about the person that breaks into your home, sets up camp, and is living there without your permission. They're, probably just brought some stuff in. They're probably usually homeless. In my experience, what I've seen is broken window, door pried open, stuff's in the living room, in the bedroom. I found people camping out in the garage because, again, they can typically, especially garages without garage door openers. I've seen that a lot because they can hear someone coming in and get out of there before they get caught. These folks aren't really interested in kind of the long haul approach here to squatters' rights and ownership. They're just looking for a place to sleep. Now, having said that, I have had people that I've had to go the legal route to get them out. I think probably little smarter folks that kind of knew the ins and outs have probably done that before. But the ones most of the time when we found something like that happening at our home, we would just basically get out of here, don't come back. They're packing up and trying to get out before we even catch them in the first place. But if we did run into them, if we surprised them, if they were sleeping, they would usually pack up and go. And very rarely did we have any more issues there. The other scenario that we ran into fairly often is we'd go in, we'd find somebody's stuff in the home, but nobody was around. In those situations, what we'd do is we'd grab their stuff and we would put it out either on the front porch or the driveway, and it always disappeared. We never saw them again, and it wasn't an issue. Now, some people may say, well, why would you do that? Why don't you just throw their stuff away and play hardball with them? Well, the thing is I try not to escalate situations like that. I have no idea who I'm dealing with. I have no idea what their situation is, what their mental state is. But I do know that if you take somebody that is forced to live like that and you destroy some of the few possessions that they actually have, you're probably going to become a target, and they have nothing better to do all day but hang out and wait for you not to be at that home, and it can cause you a lot of heartache. So I'm not saying that wouldn't happen anyway in some situations, but in my experience, at least, when we've put that stuff out, it's disappeared and we haven't had that issue. So now the other end of that is that we have tried to go the route where we call police and bring them out, try to get them out if they refuse to leave. And there's been some situations where the police really can't do anything about that. And then we have to go through the eviction process, and then, which sucks. I mean, you have to wait, that 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then another week or two for the sheriffs to get out there. So you lose a month and a half, 2 months to get this person out. Now, those folks are usually the ones that do this normally and routinely. So it happens from time to time, but it hasn't been the number one experience for me. Most of them take off and they don't want to come back again. They're not interested in getting caught. It seems like they're more interested in having a roof over the head for how many ever days they can have it. Now, kind of jumping back over to more of the squatters' rights and adverse possession as it kind of relates to transfer of ownership into a property is a lot more complicated, takes a lot more time. There's a couple components that have to be met. And again, these vary state by state, but usually it means some sort of open possession, like they're not hiding there. They're not making a secret of it. Sometimes they even have utilities on in their name. They're upkeeping, whatever else the case may be. And nobody's telling them to leave. They don't own it. They're just living there like they own it. And nobody knows, or maybe the owner probably doesn't know, but it's just a normal every other day thing. Another part of that is hostile possession, which just basically means the owner doesn't know. If the owner knows and allows it, I think that's a little different story, but one of the key components is hostile possession. The other one is continuous possession. So they have to continually live or possess that property for a certain period of time. Now, again, states vary, but it's a matter of years. We're not talking days or months or weeks here. We're talking, I think I saw one list where there's a group of states where the statutory period is like 5 to 7 years, and they had to meet these other conditions. And if they could prove all of this stuff, then yeah, they had a case to be able to claim that property as their own and, be awarded that property. The owner would lose it. So there's actually some history behind that. There's a reason these laws are in place. I don't know how much they apply to us for today, and I don't think they apply to us as landlords in terms of what we normally deal with, which is more likely the person breaking in and trying to hang out for a couple nights. So the one thing I do know is that if you run into this, of course, be safe. You don't know who you're dealing with. Try not to escalate the situation. That is not going to probably turn out well. And then if you can't get them out through talking to them and asking them to leave or removing their items, move on the legal process as soon as possible, because there is a component of the continuous possession. But common sense states that the longer they're in there is more time you're not going to be able to rent that property. So give it a shot. Try to be professional about it. Again, I'm not saying being nice and any of that stuff, but be professional. Don't escalate, and don't approach them in such a way that's going to get them to definitely want to come back at you or your house. More than anything, it's just not worth it. But get the legal process involved, get that eviction filed, and get them out as soon as possible. So it's not ideal, but it is what it is. We do deal with this stuff from time to time, hoping, depending on the neighborhood where it's located, some of you probably deal with it more than others, but just kind of know that it does happen, that there is a way to get them out of there. Just be safe when you're dealing with it. Try not to escalate the situation. And then for the most part, hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed that you don't have to deal with this too often. So that's what I got today for squatters and squatters' rights on this video. If you have any questions, leave comments below. And of course, reach out anytime to jason@thelandlordlaunch.com is where you can reach me. And thank you for watching. And that's it. We will see you next time.